I took a DNA test, and it turns out I am not my dad's biological son. For as long as I can remember, my parents' marriage has been happy and stable. They were high school sweethearts, and my dad proposed to my mom at their prom, or so they say. Nowadays, they are the typical old couple, just as in love as the day they got married. For Thanksgiving, one of my friends bought DNA kits for our whole friend group. He is very interested in genealogy and family trees, and wanted to share his hobby, I suppose. I just got my results back, and my biological father was found. However, he is not the man I have called dad all my life, but someone from New Jersey. He hasn't contacted me, and I have no intention of contacting him. I must admit that he looks like me, but he doesn't look anything like my sister. That means that either my sister is my dad's biological daughter, or my mom had more than one affair. I do know that my dad's family has a history of fertility issues, and that his identical twin brother can't have children at all. I don't want to ruin my parents' lives, and regardless of my DNA, my dad is still my dad. He raised me and loved me as his own, and that's all that matters to me. But there's a voice in my head telling me that my dad deserves to know that his wife was unfaithful and that he raised another man's child. But then, will he ever look at me the same? What if he disowns me out of anger? And what about my mom? She depends on his pension and business, but she was unfaithful, so maybe I shouldn't consider her feelings. I don't know, I had to tell someone, so I thought Reddit might be a good place. I'm going to think about what I should do before taking any drastic action. I have the power to destroy my parents' lives, and I don't take that lightly. Top comments. Comment 1. It depends on the couple, age, religion, etc. You literally have no idea what happened around your conception unless they told you something. It is very possible that there is another reason besides infidelity. Maybe talk to your mom first. I know you are angry now, but infidelity is only one of multiple possible reasons for this. Last question. Did your DNA test confirm 100% that your mom is your mom? Because that has happened on Reddit before. A guy tested his daughter, found out she wasn't his, and flipped out on his wife. After many tests, they found out their daughter had been switched at the hospital. OP's response. Her family has never done DNA testing, so I don't know. My parents have been honest with me about other embarrassing things. I just can't see them keeping something like that from me, but I suppose it's possible. Comment 2. How old are you? OP? It doesn't really matter. I'm just curious. You should definitely talk to your mom first. It's possible that your dad already knows that you're not his biological son. OP's response. I am 27 years old, and you're right that it doesn't matter. I know people think I'm being immature by jumping to the conclusion of infidelity, but my gut tells me it can't be something as simple as a sperm donor or adoption. We're family, we tell each other everything, especially my dad and me, and I can't believe they would hide something as important as who gave me the blood in my veins. I don't know, and I guess I won't know until I talk to my mom. Response 3. Let me ask you for some advice as a stepfather in a similar situation. Would you have preferred to be told the truth since you were old enough to understand, or have it continued to be kept a secret knowing how you feel now? I don't want to lie to my stepdaughter, who calls me daddy and has only known me as such, but obviously, being a 5-year-old, she wouldn't comprehend much anyway. I don't know. I guess I'll figure it out when the time comes. OP's response. I'm pretty raw right now, so take it with a grain of salt, but I wish I'd known. Either way, I'd have known my dad loves me, as I'm sure your stepdaughter does, but if I'd known, I wouldn't feel so shocked and betrayed now. Also, what happens if your daughter grows up, moves out, then gets sick? She won't be able to give the doctors an accurate family history, and if she gives them your family history thinking that you're her biological dad, that might lead her medical team astray. She deserves to know where she comes from. Update. First, I want to say you all were half right. Secondly, I want to explain in more detail why I didn't think it could be a sperm donor. My family, especially my dad, values honesty as one of the highest values. The angriest I've ever seen my dad was when I covered up a bad grade in high school. Now, he never hit me, or even really came close, but he shouted and made me feel really bad. My point is that lying is considered the greatest sin in my dad's eyes. He always told me that a man is only as good as his word. The idea of my dad keeping something like that from me was nearly unthinkable. The reason I immediately thought of infidelity instead of something like a sperm donor was that I don't look anything like my dad. Because of this, my cousins teased me my whole childhood. They called my mom names behind her back, and combined with my rocky relationship with my mom, This always made me suspect that my mom had been unfaithful. The DNA tests only confirmed my suspicions, which is why I was so sure that's what happened. Now, with a clearer head, I realize how those biases were affecting my judgment. Anyway, I called my mom the other day and explained about the DNA test. She chuckled, and instead of confessing to infidelity like I thought she would, or using a sperm donor like you all thought she would, she said to me, "I guess we couldn't keep this forever. Okay, I guess it's time you knew." And then proceeded to tell me this absolutely wild story. She told me what I had already guessed about my dad's fertility, that he is completely unable to have biological children. Apparently, my parents didn't have the money to pay for a sperm donor or an adoption, but they wanted a child more than anything in the world. What they agreed to do was for my mom to drive to the next state over and have unprotected intercourse with men in the hopes she'd get pregnant. Apparently, she tried to choose guys who had similar features to my dad so that the extended family wouldn't get suspicious. Luckily for my parents, my sister came out looking like a clone of my mom. 3 years later, my parents did the same thing, and that's where I came from. As I said before, I look nothing like my dad. I do have some features from my mom's side of the family, but none from my dad's side, other than that I have lots of freckles, and so do my dad and a few of his relatives. Turns out, my biological father is also covered in freckles. I asked my mom if my sister knows, and she said no. My mom asked me for help telling my sister because she has been hinting that she wants to take a DNA test before having kids, which she wants to have soon. I agreed. I'll be going over to my sister's place to talk to her soon, and the current plan is to have my parents on Zoom. I don't think I'll be updating again, so you can get your "I told you so" out of the way now, lol.